Sound rolling, cameras rolling, fun documentary.
How does my father compare to me? Well, my father is part of the 1960s Windrush generation, Windrush. So his whole outlook is very different to mine. And he brings enchanting moments to my children. You know, moments that I cannot give them. But he comes from a very different generation and a very different time. But I still adhere to that old school wisdom, that old school Caribbean wisdom. It's still in me. It's never gonna go. And I just kind of blend it up with the modern times we're in with my children, you know? So it's an amalgamation of both. But, you know, as they say, you begin to sound like your parents when you become parents. I mean, that's just the way it is. I just kind of catch myself sometimes sounding like my dad. And it's just ingrained, you know? But some of the things I dislike about my father, I try not to do them. But yeah, you just kind of work it out as you go along, you know?
My dad was an old school Jamaican man from St. Mary. We're talking 100% attitude. My dad didn't bother with the long conversation. He was the father who mother said, wait till your dad came home. So I think, you know, we either parent the way we were parented or we go totally against that. And I never wanted to be a threat for my son. Sure, I wanted to be someone who he thought of as a disciplinarian, but not a threat. So I think I took a path very different from my dad when it came to parenting.
For many years, I resented my own father. I thought he was too strict, thought he was too free with the belt, and also that he would address me for the things that I did wrong more than the things that I did right. But my father passed away in 1994. On the day that he passed away, on his funeral, I should say, the amount of people that came out of the woodworks that said, I was struggling in business and your father, he did my accounts for free. Your father really helped me set up in this. Your father is responsible for this organization over here. Your father helped. And I was looking, I said, what? So my dad was some real powerful, compassionate, heart-centered person in the community. And then when I started to understand that and I started to think about some of the things that he said to me, and I realized that much of what he said to me was wisdom, and that my problem was that I could only see me and I couldn't see the bigger picture, you know? So now I compare myself to my father. I compare myself to my father as in I listen to the things that he said deliberately and try to do some of the things that he did so that I can match up to what I think my father was. So for me now, my father is one of my icons.
I would say that there's some deficiency. So if I was to compare two fathers, my fatherhood has tried to be the man that he wasn't. So there are gaps where I felt that he could have done better. I'm trying to do better because of it.
I would say my father was present physically, emotionally, he wasn't there, you know. So I would say in terms of the differences between the two, I am very emotional with my children. Not emotional as in unstable, you know. Emotional meaning I share how I feel. I let my children know how I feel. And we have those emotional conversations. So I ask lots of questions and I probe with my children to find out what their heart is communicating. With my dad, he didn't do that, you know. It was no conversations, what I say goes, and yeah, that exchange didn't take place. It was, he tells me what to do and I'll do it, you know. And yeah, so that's the difference between myself and my father in terms of we're both present, but yeah, I'm much more communicative. I don't mind making mistakes with my children. I don't mind my children seeing me make mistakes, and then we'll learn and we'll discover the solution together.
I think my own father now is quite similar to me. I think my old father, when I was young, was very different. I think I said earlier on that I was quite strict. I think my dad was a lot more stricter with us. I think looking back, he probably was even more scared than I was when I became a father. And I think that kind of comes across in kind of wanting your or in how you let your children express themselves. I think my dad was very aware of us behaving in a certain way, and he wanted us to behave in a certain way, especially when we're outside, but also even in the house. And I think he was probably quite stressed as a dad, and didn't get to spend the quality time with us that he would have liked to as well. And I think that's like a lot of people now. I think we work so hard, and people are doing so much that even quality time that we do get to spend with people isn't as enjoyable or relaxing as it might be, and it should be. And so I think I've tried a little bit to just kind of see that and to try and work on that with my children. It doesn't work all the time, because I do exactly the same thing sometimes, and I might get really angry or upset over things that might seem quite insignificant at other times to me. So I think trying to stay calm, trying to keep things, just trying to be calm and steady with my children is what I've tried to do. Well, I think Dad had a little tendency to birth a lot at certain times. But that's part of your making as well. And it was funny because I went to go and visit him the other day, and he had a similar moment. It was like going back to being 10 all over again, except this time I just laughed at it. And I remember when you're young, you get it's a really big deal, and I could just laugh at it and go home this time. So it was good. It's very interesting though.
Well, in terms of the strictness, my dad was a strict person, and the generation that my dad is, they were strict. They're Caribbean. They had a certain way. They what we could call a post-slave mentality, right? So how they would deal with certain issues would be licks. Let's be honest, right? I try not to go down that route. I want my children to fear me at a certain time, but at the same time, I want my children to be able to come to me. We can have fun, and they are comfortable. And I'm so glad that my children are comfortable. They can say what they want in front of me. You understand what I'm saying? But with my parents, with my dad, and even kind of with my mum as well, certain things we wouldn't say, but our children in this generation would. And I like that, but there has to be a balance. So strictness, I definitely get from my dad.
I definitely think my father was more stricter than I am. I definitely think that he was, like I said earlier, just that one model of a father, like a father should be like this, and there was no other dimensions to his parenting style. So me being different from my father, I believe I listen more, even though I'm strict. At some point, even sometimes I'm too strict, so I just have to step back and reflect. And also, I think that I allow my children to go down certain paths that I know my father wouldn't actually do it if I was their age. So allow them to be a bit more free in what they actually want to do and what things they want to follow.
I don't even know, but I think we are the same. So I've been told by the wife,
"Oh, you're just like your dad."
That's how she speaks.
"You're just like your dad."
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's not the worst accolade that I could have. You know what I mean? Or the worst title or the worst comparison by far.
We are similar, but dissimilar. I think because of the generation that we're at, especially being first generation British-born Africans, we are a lot more attuned to the negotiation between parent and child. Whereas, our parents' generation